The Templeton Twins by Ellis Weiner. Please turn to page 80 and 81 for Chapter 7. When you hear the bell, be sure to go to the top of the next page to continue reading along. Let's begin. Chapter 7. D. Crumb. Cast, spin, dry. Crazy. 835. At 9 o'clock the next morning, just as the chimes and bongs and cuckoos of the university clock were fading into silence, the doorbell rang. When Abigail, John, the professor, and Casey barked ridiculously as usual, answered the door, they beheld a tall, thin woman in gray pants and a gray shirt and a black baseball cap. "Ah," the professor said. He consulted a sheet of paper he had brought with him. "Are you Nancy Noonan?" "Who else would I be?" the woman said, and marched straight into the house. It was hard to tell how old she was. She wore no makeup, and when she stuck out her hand for a good, honest shake, you could see that she cut her nails short and wore no polish. "Call me Nan." The professor shook her hand and then introduced Abigail and John. "This is your new nanny," he said. "Call me Nanny Nan." The new nanny shook hands with each twin. "I'll tell you right now that I don't like twins. They think they can get away with things. But don't you worry, that's not my problem." John looked a bit confused as he said, Nice to meet you." Abigail frowned. "Your name is Nanny Nan Noonan?" "Ding! You got it." The tall, brisk woman clapped her hands together. "Okay, let's unpack." She turned and started to march up the stairs, then suddenly stopped, looked down at the twins, and held out a long, skinny finger. "Just don't try to get away with anything." Immediately, Casey started to snarl at Nanny Nan. As John told the dog no and dragged her away from the stairs, Abigail explained, "We're sorry. She gets angry if someone points a finger at us. She thinks they're going to attack us." "Well, she's got me all wrong. I'm not attacking anybody," the nanny said. "At least not today." And while the twins tried to decide whether or not Nanny Nan was joking, she went upstairs. Nanny Nan was strong and tireless. She opened cartons. She moved dressers and desks and chests of drawers into just the right position. She told John and Abigail exactly where to store their clothes, what drawers to put their socks or shirts in, where and exactly how to position their shoes, and so on. Of course, the twins did tell her that while the house might have been new to them, the dressers and chests of drawers were the same ones they had lived with all their lives, and that they already knew where to put their clothes and shoes. But she insisted they do it her way. "No one keeps their shirts in the bottom drawer," Nanny Nan said firmly. "I do," John said. "Oh, nonsense," said Nanny Nan. And that was that. Finally, when all the clothes had been put away and everyone was exhausted, Nanny Nan made a somewhat frightening chicken dish for dinner. Then the professor went down into the basement to arrange his workshop, and John and Abigail went to their rooms to lovingly unpack the things they used for their hobbies. You no doubt wish me to tell you what those hobbies were, and I shall. But first, let us be clear about what a hobby is and what it is not. A hobby, which is an old-fashioned word people don't use much anymore, refers to something you do simply because you like it and find it interesting and fulfilling. You don't get paid to do it. You don't get extra credit in school for doing it. You don't do it because it might impress your friends or look good when you apply for university or a job. You don't do it because it might be good for your health. You don't do it to save money or time. You don't have to save the earth. You don't do it to save the whales. And you certainly don't do it because other people force you to. As, for example, they might force you to write a book about the Templeton twins. No, you pursue your hobby or hobbies because you like it or them. This is no small thing. Ask any grown-up you know about his or her hobby. And assuming they have one, they will talk enthusiastically to you about it for the next 12 hours. Then the next day, they'll call you up and start talking about it again. You will be delighted to know that I have a hobby too. But we will save discussion of what my hobby is for later on in this story. Or perhaps for a different story altogether. Or perhaps never. I may decide I don't want to discuss my hobby with you. Because why should I? What have you ever done for me? Let's move on. Abigail's hobby was crossword puzzles, but of a rather special kind. I assume you know what a regular crossword puzzle is, so I'm not going to describe it to you. Let's just say that you have a big box full with little empty boxes, and you're given a series of clues about which word will correctly fit in the empty boxes. The words intersect with one another. So, for example, filling in one word across gives you a letter in a different word, or many letters in many words, going down. All right, I see I have done what I said I wasn't going to do. I have described regular crossword puzzles. Well, you can thank me later. The problem with regular crossword puzzles is not that some are too hard. Working on hard puzzles can be fun in a satisfying kind of way, or it can be annoying, in which case you just stop and do something else. No, the real problem comes when puzzles are too easy. If the clues are too straightforward and the answers are too obvious, then doing the crossword puzzle becomes a tedious kind of work. You don't stop because it's easy to fill in, but it's not satisfying. It's like filling in a form to apply for membership in an extremely boring club that you don't really want to join in the first place. The trick, then, is to find puzzles that are neither too easy nor too hard. Yes, I know. The same is true about books. We want to read books that are neither too easy nor too hard. Yes, I know. The same is true about books. We want to read books that are neither too easy nor too hard. Kindly do not bother me with your request that this book is one of those. It should be enough that I'm writing it at all. Now, we're worried. No, don't tell me. Let me guess. Ah, yes, crossword puzzles. Abigail Templeton was one of those clever people who found regular crossword puzzles too easy and rather tedious. So instead, her hobby was doing cryptic crossword puzzles. Cryptids, as people refer to them, are different from ordinary crossword puzzles. They have squares to fill in with words, and the words intersect across and down, as in a normal crossword. But the clues are, well, let us just say that the clues can seem absurd. But once you learn how to read them and what the basic rules of cryptic crosswords are, you will see that the clues are actually little puzzles in themselves. You have to figure out what the clues mean before you can even guess the word. That's the bad news. The good news is, much of the time the answer to everything is right in front of your nose. For example, one of the clues in the first cryptic that Abigail tried to solve was crazy hen. Tick means a hot room, 7. I know, it looks like it makes no sense. What is a hen tick? What does it mean for a hen tick to be crazy? How can it mean a hot room? This clue seemed a deliberate attempt to make the person doing the crossword throw it out the window. But here is how Abigail figured out this clue. First, the number at the end told her that the answer was one word with 7 letters. Sometimes the answers are 2 or 3 words. Then there are 2 or 3 numbers, indicating the number of letters in each word. Second, she knew that the clue, like crazy or mixed up, changed, weird, insane, odd, loopy, nuts, broken, smashed, exploited, and so on, meant that she should rearrange the letters in the nearby word or words in the clue into the correct answer. Therefore, it was possible, she decided, that if she rearranged hen tick, which she realized in a burst of happiness has 7 letters, the answer would have something to do with what means a hot room. So she looked at hen tick, jumbled those letters up in her head, and rearranged them into kitchen. Did that mean a hot room? Yes, because a kitchen can indeed be a hot room. So kitchen was the right answer. Now that you know how this works, go back and look at the title of this chapter again. See if you can figure out what it really means by getting crazy with those letters. The answer, which I urge you not to look at until you at least try to figure it out, is down below. Flip back to page 80 and 81 to take a look at the chapter title. Then click on Part 2 to continue reading this chapter.